In the art scroll, it's we'll go back to 43A3, the last paragraph, 43A3. The Gemara was discussing, and David, we always have people talk up during the class. This is not a lecture. Everyone should feel comfortable to talk up. All right? Max, just to bring you back up to date, we're on 43A. We welcome Max back. 43A3. The Gemara got onto the subject of how do we know that Sukkah, the obligation of Sukkah, is both by day and by night. Right? The Torah said, "V'sukkos teishu shivat yamim," 7 days. What does 7 days mean? Does the day mean the day and the night? Like here, Vayivoka Yom Echad, or days mean specifically days and not the night. Maybe maybe you don't have to sleep in a sukkah. Meaning, point to the other possibility. We know the halacha is this person's supposed to. The mitzvah you have to sleep in a sukkah. It applies by day and by night. You have to eat in a sukkah by day and by night. There are whatever allowances we have in our colder climates of why maybe people don't sleep in the sukkah at night. They need an allowance for that. But the mitzvah is that the sukkah is by day and by night. You're having a bread meal at night. You have to be in the sukkah. But how do we know that? That the Gemara said was a given. And the Gemara wants to know, why is that a given? The Sukkah Gufa Minola. Everyone have it? Max, you got it? It's 43A4 or 43A3, I'm sorry, on the right side, bottom paragraph, at least in this print of the art scroll. Okay? The Sukkah Gufa Minola. How do we know that, David, you got it? Okay. How do we know that Sukkah has to be by day and by night? So the Gemara says, that's on Rabban. But Sukkah teishu shivat yamim. It says in the Torah that you have to dwell in the Sukkah for 7 days. Yamim afilu leilot. So the Gemara said, what does it mean, yamim? 7 days. So afilu leilot, days. Days is it sounds like a 24-hour period. 7 days. So afilu leilot, even the nighttime. Ata umen, you're telling me yamim afilu leilot. You're telling me that the meaning of days means even the night, but maybe what about? Isn't there a possibility? Oh, eina ella yamim v'lo leilot. Isn't there a way to understand the pasuk that it means day and not night? Vidinu, and there is some logic to suggest that. Why? Because we have another halacha regarding the holiday of Sukkot, another mitzvah by Lulav, where it says, Nema kan yamim. When it comes to the law of Sukkah, it says yamim. But Nema b'lulav yamim. It says by Lulav, it says the word yamim. It says, Smachtem lifnei Hashem Elokechem shivat yamim. By the Beit HaMikdash, there was a mitzvah to take the Lulav. It says 7 days. And we know by the Beit HaMikdash, the mitzvah of taking the yamim there means day and not night. Just like by us. Our mitzvah of Lulav today is only by day and not night. Nema kan yamim. It says the word yamim by Sukkah. Nema b'lulav yamim. It says by lulav yamim. Mal halan. Just like over there by lulav, it's yamim v'lo leilot. It's the days and not the night. So afkan. So here also maybe it's yamim v'lo leilot. Here maybe it's also days and not night. Although Gemara says oklach l'derosu. Or but there's a different way to understand the pasuk when it says shivat yamim. Good morning, Mark.
Right.
We are trying to prove, Mark, the obligation of Sukkah applies both by day and by night. When the Torah says the word shivat yamim, the Torah says shivat yamim teishu v'sukkot teishu shivat yamim. How do we know it means day and night? The Gemara said because there are two possibilities. Either we can compare it to the yamim of lulav, which the morning Simon, the yamim of lulav is by day and not night. So that would teach us, Simon, that lulav is by day and by night, and also teaches us sukkah. That if we want to compare to sukkah to lulav, then we would say just like lulav yamim means day and night, sukkah also means day and not night. On klach l'derozu. But there's another way to go. What's the other way to go? Nema kan yomim, nema miluyim. It says over here, yomim, and it says by miluyim, now on 43A4. And it says by the miluyim, when they inaugurated the Mishkan, right? On the 8th day, they set up the Mishkan. On the 8th day, meaning Rosh Chodesh Nisan. But before there was 7, it was Vahi Yom HaShmini is the 8th day. That was the conclusion of the inaugural ceremony for the Mikdash. The Torah says that 7 days before Rosh Chodesh, Pesach or Moed, it says the Kohanim, Aaron and his son should stay by the Ohel Moed. They shouldn't go home during that time period. It says 7 days. Yomam v'layla shivat yamim. They stay over there. That's going to be their house for the next 7. They're going to stay by that area by the Ohel Moed for 7 days. And over there it says yamim, and it says yamim, and it specifies day and night. So over there it says yamim, and over there by the miluyim, by the inauguration of the Mishkan, it says yamim, and yamim mal halan yamim afilu leilo. And over there, by the inauguration of the Miluyim, they couldn't, it wasn't just stay there by day and then you could go home at night. The Yamim means you have to stay there for 7 days. So Afkan Yamim Afilu Leilot. So here also, it will be Yamim Afilu Leilot. If you're going to compare the Yamim of Sukkah to the Yamim of Miluyim, of the dedication of the Mishkan, then it would mean 7 days and 7 nights, you have to be in the Sukkah. So now the question is, I have 2 ways to go. There are 2 sides to the coin. What's the given, and what is we have 2 givens. So the given is lulav is only by day. The given is miluyim. When they dedicated the Mishkan, when it says yomim, there it means day and night, and we have the word yomim by sukkah. So lulav we know is only by day. Miluyim it means day and night. Sukkah, the Torah says the word yomim. Which do we compare it to? Is Sukkah more comparable to Lulav? When we learn it out from Lulav, all 3 of them has the word Yomim. So how do we compare to the Yomim of Sukkah? Right, Simon? Is it more comparable to the Yomim of Lulav? And therefore, it would only mean the mitzvah of Sukkah will only be by day? Or is it more comparable to the Yomim of Miluim, of the dedication of Mishkan, and therefore be day and night? So which one do we compare it to? So the Gemara says the following. Nireh lemi domeh. To which one is it more comparable? So the Gemara says now, and we have now one of the sides of that coin. So here's side number 1. Donin davar shemitzvoto kol hayom. We learn a mitzvah, something that's the whole day, meaning sukkah. For sure, there's at least a mitzvah by daytime. The question is there a mitzvah of sukkah by night? What is the mitzvah of sukkah at least by day? The mitzvah of sukkah by day is every moment of the day there's the mitzvah of sukkah. That means if you plan on sleeping the whole day, you would have a mitzvah of sukkah the whole day, of being in the sukkah the whole day. If you plan on eating bread the whole day, and you want to have one long bread meal the whole day, you have to be in the sukkah that whole day. I don't recommend eating the whole day, eating the whole day, having a 12-hour meal, but you would have to be in the sukkah the whole day. The mitzvah sukkah is not a 1 moment, a 1 minute mitzvah. It's a continuous mitzvah throughout the duration, whenever the mitzvah is, because it says, but sukkot teishvu shiva. You have to dwell in the sukkah. The sukkah needs to become your home. The way you act in your home, you sleep in your home, you eat in your home. So the sukkah is a continuous mitzvah throughout the way, whenever the duration of the mitzvah is. If it's only by day, it would be by that day, the whole day. If it will be a day and night, it will be the whole night. And we say it's day and night, but how do we know that? So what is it more comparable to? So the Gemara says, now that's one, that's now. So Danin, we will learn a mitzvah that's the whole day, that the duration of the mitzvah applies the whole day, from something else that's similar, that mitzvah is throughout the day. The miluyim, when the kohanim have to be by the Ohel Moed, it's not just for 1 minute. They got to be there the whole time, throughout the duration of that time. And we don't want to, we wouldn't. It's not similar Davar shemitzvoto sha'achat. Lulav, how long is the duration of the mitzvah lulav? You fulfill the mitzvah lulav in 1 second. You pick up the lulav and the etrog. I mean, we do is we have a mind not to fill the mitzvah until after we pick it up and say the bracha, and then we have a mind to fill the mitzvah. That's why, as we learned about, we turn the etrog over, we don't hold the etrog in the proper way, upside down, so you don't get the mitzvah. Make believe this is the pitim. We hold it like this. We don't want to get credit for the mitzvah yet, because we want to say the bracha on the lulav before we do the mitzvah. So we say the bracha, and then after we say the bracha, then we have a mind to fill the mitzvah. We turn it over. Now we get the mitzvah, and that's it. We finished, right, David? We technically did the mitzvah. The mitzvah's over. Technically, there's no mitzvah to take the lulav for 12 hours during the day. You took the lulav. Of course, we have the rabbis say you shake the lulav. The rabbis, we take it during Hallel. Yes, we do spend time with the lulav. We do, but it's not the mitzvah. The biblical mitzvah is performed in a moment and it's over. The mitzvah technically is over, and therefore and that's why we're so concerned. You got to make sure you turn over the etrog. Welcome back, Adam. We got to make sure you turn over the etrog because if not, you can't say, if technically the Gemara's concern is you would not be able to say the bracha on the etrog if you didn't turn it over the etrog and you had a mind to fill the mitzvah by taking it. For that second, it's over. You did the mitzvah. You can't say the bracha anymore. If that would be your mindset, I had a mind to do the mitzvah, and I didn't turn it over the wrong way. I got the mitzvah. I can't say the bracha. It's over. The mitzvah's over. So the Gemara says, the Gemara says like this. So therefore, it's not similar. Just to bring Adam up to date, we're trying to figure out Sukkah. The Torah says Yamim, 7 days you stay in a Sukkah. Shivat Yamim, Teshuv Sukkah. Does that mean day and night? Or does Yamim means day and not the night? That's the question. Good morning, Mr. Haber. Thank God that the shul is filling up. Thank God. And Mr. Haber comes in, it's great. So you hear the question, Adam? How do we, now the Yamim does mean Yamim v'lo laila, day and not night? Mr. Haber, we're discussing the mitzvah of Sukkah. We all know the halacha is the mitzvah of Sukkah is by day and by night. You have to stay in the Sukkah at night, day equally. But the Gemara wants to know, was questioning, you say a fact. The Gemara said that fact. Well, what's the source for that fact? How do we know that? So the Gemara said, we have 2 ways to go. We either can learn out from Lulav, which Lulav, it says Yamim, it's only by day and not by night. So maybe Sukkah is also Yamim is only day and night, or do you look at Miluyim? When they dedicated, when they inaugurated the Mishkan, it says Yamim, and there it meant they have to stay by the Mishkan, or the Kohanim for those 7 days by day and night. So what is it more comparable to? So the Gemara says at this point, the Gemara says that it's more comparable to Miluyim. Why? Because Miluyim, the mitzvah of being by the Mishkan during those 7 days is a continuous mitzvah. You have to always be there. You can't go home. I'm going to go home for a nap during the day. No, it's throughout the mitzvah applies throughout the 7 days. So too, Sukkah is a mitzvah that applies throughout the whole day. So it's a very similar that the mitzvah is a continuous mitzvah. In contrast to Lulav, which is only for the moment. The whole mitzvah is 1 moment. You got the mitzvah's over once you took the lulav. Or the Gemara says, but there's another side of the coin. Oklach lederozu. The other side is the following. Danin davar shemitzvato ledorot. A mitzvah that's for future generations. Midavar shemitzvato ledorot. It's more comparable to lulav, because lulav is a mitzvah that's for all generations, as opposed to the inauguration of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, which was only a mitzvah for that generation. When you set up that Mishkan, you don't have the mitzvah every year to rededicate a new ceremony. Good morning, Mark, for the Mishkan. Exactly. Therefore, it's not as comparable. So in one sense, in life, sometimes something is comparable in certain ways, very similar in certain ways. So, a person goes out on a date trying to get married. You might have similarities to the girl in this way, but not in this one, right? Families are similar, but backgrounds are not, whatever it might be. So here the Gemara is saying we have a similarity in one way, but it's not similar to Miluyim in the other way, because you want to compare it to Miluyim. Miluyim is a one-shot deal. Setting up the Mishkan is a one-shot deal. But here the mitzvah of Sukkah is for all generations. So on that end, it's more comparable to Lulav. So now the question is again, which one, who's the winner? Which one do we compare it to? Do we compare it to Lulav? Do we compare Sukkah to Lulav? Or do we compare Sukkah to Miluyim? So the Gemara says, that's what the Gemara says. The other side of the coin is done in a klach derzu, done in davash mitzvato ledorot, a mitzvah that's for generations. Midavash mitzvato ledorot, from a similar thing, mitzvah that's for generation, like lulav. And you can't use miluyim. It's not a mitzvah marriage, it's a one-time deal that is setting up of the Mishkan, like the inauguration of a king. It's the one-time deal. So the Gemara says now the answer. How do we decide what is this? Who's the winner? So Talmud Loma. Now we turn the page. Now we're on 43b. Mem Gimel Amabed. We're picking up a little pace over here, as people notice. David Cohen has come to the class. We're picking up the pace. The Gemara says, Teishvu l'gzeira shava. Mr. Haber got a nice smile on that one. It says both. It says the word Teishvu, but Sukkot Teishvu, like you quoted before. Sukkot Teishvu Shivat Yomim, and by the Miluyim, it also says the word Teishvu. So there's something. It's called the Gzeira Shaveh. We have a word that was written over there, and the same word that was written over here, and that's coming for a specific purpose. Now, not always the fact that you have one word that said same word in two places means that it's coming to teach us a specific law. But we have the halacha. By the way, Pesach is coming. It says the 15th day of Nisan, you have the mitzvah of matzah, and so the 15th day of Tishrei, of the month of Tishrei, you have the mitzvah of Sukkah. And 15 is called Tesvav, Chamisha Asa. There's a famous Gzeira Shavah that certain laws are similar by the mitzvah of Sukkah and the mitzvah of Sukkah and the mitzvah of Pesach, of Matzah. So here the Gemara says the same word that's used by the mitzvah of Sukkah and the mitzvah of Miluyim, of the dedication of the Mishkan, of the Holy Tabernacle of the Mishkan, that it says the word Teishvu. And Nemakan Teishvu, it says the word Teishvu over here by Sukkah, V'nema b'Miluyim. When it was dedicating the Mishkan, it says Teishvu. So therefore, ma lahalan, just like Miluyim is Yomim afilu leilot. It's the day. The word day does not mean only day. But in Miluyim it says stay by the Mishkan. The Aaron and his children have to stay by the Mishkan 7 days, and it says there clearly, it's spelled out black and white. The Torah is not in color. Black and white. It says Yomam v'Layla. 7 days. And it clearly explained that Yomim means day and night. So here also, when the Torah says the word by Sukkah, 7 days, it also means day and night. And maybe it's also a point in the Torah. The Torah doesn't have to repeat letters or words. If I told you one place, I could take, I can learn it, I can apply that over here. And that's by telling you we're having a Gzeira Shaveh, that's going to teach us, that's going to give us insight into how to understand, good morning, Ariel, the pasuk over here. There's more Gemaras here. You have choice, old style, new style. Okay. Old style is just listen. They didn't have a Gemara in front of them. We're this new generation, we have Gemaras in front of us. Right? So that's what the Gemara says. Okay, so that's how the Gemara concludes the source. That is the source that the mitzvah of Sukkah, when it says 7 days, it's days and the nights. Okay.
This one place to go to build a little hut. I mean, they word here,
Yeah, but remember, really, Chalamoid is still semi-holiday a little bit. And you have Chag, and you have holiday the first day. So, okay. But the question is the night. Is the night included? Show you.
You don't mention.
Right, because the pasuk doesn't mention the night. So therefore, the question is. But it could be also, Adam. It could be that it's not. Maybe it's not a simple thing to leave your house. Night is a more difficult time to ask of somebody to live in a sukkah. So maybe the Gemara is questioning. Maybe when the Torah says, "I want you to make this your house," maybe it's much more easier by daytime to make this my house. I can go and do my work in my house. I could do my certain things. I can wheel and deal, whatever. I could do certain things in my house. But nighttime, it's pretty dark outside. I mean, it's not easy to do it. What? You have to sleep there. It's not so. It's not a simple thing. It's a more ask, and therefore, so it's not so. It's not so obvious exactly. Okay, the Gemara says Arava Shiva Ketza. Now we're on a new piece. This is going on. The Mishnah said that in the time of the Beit HaMikdash, there was something called a mitzvah of Arava. Arava is what many people call the Hoshanot, right? I don't know what the Hoshanot that we take on Hoshana Rabbah, that's called what the Mishnah refers to as Arava. We know Arava as part of the mitzvah of Lulav, Morning Morris. Part of the mitzvah of Lulav, we know there's something called Hadassim, there's Aravot. But in the Gemara, Arava, here in this context, Arava refers to the mitzvah of taking Hoshanot. And in the time of the Beit HaMikdash, that mitzvah was fascinating. It was for 7 days. For 7 days, there was a mitzvah to take these aravot, and they would. Some say they would walk. The Kohanim would walk around the mizbeach with these aravot, and they would place the aravot at the sides of the mizbeach. They would place these aravot. There was a special mitzvah, and again, what's going on with aravot? Why so much focus on aravot? Remember, we are judged on Sukkot for water. It's a chag nidonim al hamayim. Therefore, obviously, taking aravot, arvei nachal, these things, it will be a merit to have blessing for water. So that's the connection why there's such a focus on aravot. But it says that aravot shiva. There's 7 days. You hear the expression? They say they're sitting shiva. What's the word that's sitting shiva? Shiva, because they're sitting for 7 days. That's why it's called sitting shiva. Shiva is 7. That's why it's called sitting shiva. When people walk in mourning, it's called sitting shiva, right? So here is 7 days of taking the aravot and walking around the mizbeach. So the Gemara says, and the Mishnah stated, what did the Mishnah state? The Mishnah says that at the time of the Beit HaMikdash, now today we only take it Hoshana Rabbah, but in the time of the Mikdash, they would take it, they would not take it if Shabbat came out. If the first day of Sukkot, second, third, 1 to 6 came out on Shabbat, we will not take they did not take those aravot, those Hashanot on Shabbat. But if Hoshana Rabbah came out on Shabbat, if the 7th day of Sukkot came out on Shabbat, they would take the Hoshanot on Shabbat. So, and remember, when it came to Lulav, say it again, 7th day. You do on the 7th day. 8th day is Chag. 7th day of Pesach is Chag. 8th Shmini Atzeret is Chag by Sukkot. Right? The 7th day is Hoshana Rabbah. Shmini Atzeret, from the word Shmini, is 8. The 8th day of the holiday is the holiday. By Sukkot, Sukkot is a longer holiday than Pesach. Remember, Sukkot is 1 day. It has 1 day extension over Pesach. Pesach is the Torah has a 7-day holiday. Sukkot, the second days of Sukkot is Shmini Atzeret. It's the 8th day of the holiday. Okay. So now getting back to the Arava. So we have a contrast between the Arava, the Hoshanot, and the mitzvah of lulav. What do we say? In the time of the Mikdash, they took the lulav on Shabbat only if the first day of Sukkot came out on Shabbat. If the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth day came out on Shabbat, let's talk about by the Mikdash. By the Mikdash, there was a mitzvah to take the lulav. If you were by the Mikdash, you have a mitzvah all 7 days of the holiday, take the lulav. There's a biblical mitzvah. But the rabbi said if it comes out on Shabbat, if any of those if any day say 7 day comes out on Shabbat, you will not take it unless the first day of the holiday comes out on Shabbat. If the first day of the holiday comes out on Shabbat, and I think we established before, why did the rabbis step back? And they said, because the first day of the holiday of Sukkot is a biblical law for all Jews all over the world, whether you're by the Beit HaMikdash, you're in New York, they said, we are not making our decree to say, don't take the lulav on Shabbat, lest you might come to carry. We're going to do our best to encourage everyone to be careful not to carry, and we're not going to forbid them taking lulav if the first day of Sukkot comes down on Shabbat. Only if the second day comes down on Shabbat, the third day, fourth day. So since there's no biblical mitzvah outside the Beit HaMikdash, so therefore there the rabbi said, okay, it's not, the Torah wasn't so strict about the mitzvah because it only limited it to the Beit HaMikdash from day 2 to day 7. So there we could go ahead and make a decree and say, don't take it on Shabbat. So they said, don't take the lulav on Shabbat by the Beit HaMikdash. Day 2, if day 2 to day 7, if it was Shabbat on day 3, day 4, you will not take the lulav on that day. But if it was Shabbat on day 1 of the holiday, we will take the lulav. That's what the Gemara said. When it comes to Hoshana, Aravot, the big day was day 7. In contrast to lulav, that the big day is day 1. What applied to day 1 by lulav applied to the Arava on day 7, which means if the first day of the holiday came on Shabbat, they did not take the Hoshana, did not take the Arava. They took the lulav, no Arava, only if the 7th day of the holiday, Hoshana Arava comes down on Shabbat, then the mitzvah of taking the Arava you'll take it. The rabbis did not make any decree. But day 1 to day 6 come out on Shabbat, you will not take the Hoshana. Now that's the given that we stated in the Mishnah. And now the Gemara is going to try to analyze. The job of the Gemara is to explain the Mishnah, right? The Mishnah is very concise. The Mishnah is just the basic law, right? Mr. Haber always likes to say law, case, law, and reason. You got to go into more the case, analyze the case, more details of the case, the reason for the laws. So that's what the Gemara, that's the my time out. What's the reason? That's what the Gemara is coming to say. Arava Shiva, by the way, the Rambam, Maimonides, good morning, Aaron, he got into a lot of trouble. You know why the Rambam got in a lot of trouble in his time? Good morning. He got into a lot of trouble because he wrote a halachic work without giving his homework, without giving his source for his law. So people say you can't just, morning, we welcome everybody, Aaron and company. What's his name, Zach? Jackie, thank you for joining. So you can't, so there was a lot of criticism. Now, we don't criticize great rabbis, by the way. We don't criticize, but people, the rabbis in his time said you have to show your work. You have to, right. Okay, but then came the comment. Rabbi Yosef Cairo would tell you where he gets his work. Then other rabbis came to show you where the Rambam's point why he did not show his work, because he wanted to make it easy for the people, because he saw people having difficulty learning everything, and he wanted to make something that's more concise, so he just gave the bottom line. But here comes the Gemara. We are now starting a new piece, and we are now on 43b. I mean, he didn't, at least he wrote his famous Mishnah Torah. He did not. There are shalos and shuvot. There are questions and answers to the Rambam, but the general, his big work on the halacha, he did not write sources. He just wrote bottom line law. This is the law. This is the law, which is very similar to the Mishnah. So comes the Gemara.
What day is also on Shabbat?
Right, but the first day, but there's no but Sukkah, we're not, there's no mitzvah of lulav on the eighth day. Okay, so Rava Shiva Ketzad. So comes the Gemara and says, Arava, we take the Arava, we were talking about, as you know, Hoshanot. You know, on Sukkot, on Hoshana Rabbah, we take those, we take 5 Aravot, we tie them together, right? And we hit them on the ground, right? And those are called Hoshanot. In the time of the Mikdash, they had a mitzvah to take those Hoshanot for 7 days. Every day of the holiday, they took the Hoshanot. And they even took it, and the only time they took it on Shabbat is the 7th day came out on Shabbat. So the Gemara says, Arava b'shvi my time edochi Shabbat. Why is it that the 7th day of the holiday of Sukkot, which is Chol Hamoed, Hoshana Rabbah, why do we allow you to take and it came out on Shabbat? If Hoshana Rabbah would come out on Shabbat, they took the Arava by the Beit HaMikdash. So the Gemara says, but why aren't you concerned that maybe someone's going to come carry the Arava? What did we say about when it came to Lulav? On Lulav in general, we say we made a decree, don't take the Lulav by the Mikdash between day 2 and day 7 in holiday if it's Shabbat. Why did they say don't take the Lulav if it came out on Shabbat on day 2? Arava's deraita, Arava's halacha Moshe Sinai. So they put in the same way of Lulav. And what did we say by Lulav? We said by Lulav, we said the following. We said day 2 to day 7 by the Mesa Mikdash there was a mitzvah in the time of the Mikdash to take the Lulav day 2 to day 7, but the mitzvah was only in the Mikdash from day 2 to day 7 holiday. There is no mitzvah outside the Mikdash on a Torah level to take a Lulav from day 2 to day 7. So the rabbi said, since day 2 to day 7 is not as strict as day 1 of the holiday, because day 1 of the holiday is a biblical mitzvah all over the world to take the Lulav. So we're gonna make a gezerah, we're gonna make a fence between day 2 and day 7. We're gonna say, don't take the Lulav at the Mikdash if day 2 through 7 comes out on Shabbat. If that day, if let's say the 5th day of the holiday of Sukkot comes out on Shabbat, we will tell you, don't take the Lulav by the Mikdash. Why not? There's a biblical mitzvah. We're going to try to, because we want to, the rabbis are here to protect, because maybe you're going to come to carry. And now, Hoshano, take Arava, it's the same thing. It's whose mitzvah is Hoshanot. It's also limited to where? To the Mikdash. They're taking the Hoshanot on a Torah level is only there, nowhere else. So the Hoshanot are similar to, Matt and Mark were saying, the Hoshanot from day 1 to day 7 is only in the Mikdash, it's nowhere else, so it should be similar to Lulav of day 2 to day 7, which is only in the Mikdash and nowhere else. Again, before we get them, what did you say? No, but I'll tell you why it's not similar to day 1. Because day 1 of Hoshanot is only, the mitzvah is only in the Mikdash. Taking those Hoshanot, right, Aaron? Taking those Hoshanot, those 5, whatever we take 5 today, that mitzvah is very limited. It's only in the Mikdash. The Torah's mitzvah there was no mitzvah that outside the Mikdash, have to take those Hoshanot. Where was the Torah mitzvah of taking those Hoshanot? In the Mikdash, period. In the Mikdash was the mitzvah. Yes, take it. They're both the right. But now I want to ask you, both taking Lulav, but where is it, which location is the mitzvah of Hoshanot D'Oraita for all 7 days, Halacha Moshe Sinai D'Oraita, at the Mikdash and the Mikdash only, not outside the Mikdash. The Lulav, where is the Lulav? When is the Lulav only in the Mikdash and not outside the Mikdash? From the first day is all over. But out from day 2 to day 7, the mitzvah is only in the Mikdash. And since the Lulav, mitzvah and Torah is only in the Mikdash from day 2 to day 7, there is no mitzvah. By the way, we take the Lulav on the 2nd to 7th day of here, it's only remembering of the Mikdash. There's no biblical mitzvah to take a lulav on day 2 to day 7. The mitzvah to take lulav for everybody is lakachtem lachem bayom harishon. The biblical mitzvah is the first day. That's why we're all so careful about the first day. There's more halachot about the first day with the lulav, more strict than the other days. We can't borrow on the first day. You have to own it on the first day. So day 2 to day 7 of our lulav is the obligation is only at the mikdash, not outside the mikdash. Day 1 to day 7 of the Hoshanot is also only at the mikdash. So we should say, right. So that exactly. And since they match in that the Hoshanot is only minat Torah in the mikdash, so we should say, since the Torah is not so strict with the mitzvah, how do we see the Torah is not so strict with mitzvah? Because it only gave the mitzvah in one location. It didn't give it all over. It didn't tell us that we should take those Shabbat in the privacy of our own home as well on any day of the holiday. So if the Torah is not so strict about the mitzvah, so we the rabbis should be strict about the Shabbat and make a decree offense to protect the Shabbat on all days, even day 7. We should say don't take the Hoshanot the same way we say don't take the Hoshanot day 1 to day 7. Day 1 to day 6 we don't take the Arava. We shouldn't take it on day 7. We should protect the Shabbat. The only reason why we don't protect the Shabbat on day 1 by the lulav is because since the Torah was so strict by lulav that the Torah obligated you to take the lulav at the mikdash and outside the mikdash. So the rabbis held back. They didn't want to nullify that mitzvah. They didn't want to say, don't take the lulav. So they said, take the lulav on the first day. But when it came to Hoshanot, but the Torah was not so strict. So why is it that the rabbis did not create that fence? Even if the 7th day comes out on Shabbat. Stay tuned tomorrow, everybody. I want to wish everyone what a beautiful crowd. It's the right, but we should protect the mitzvah. You have to see the Gemara. Forgive me. Amen. 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 Thank you, Mr. Haber.
I remember.
Reading